Kill Blackbeard at the beginning. Chapter 11. As he spoke, terrible black smoke came out from behind Lei Jie. This black smoke was as thick as ink and like black flames. Every word Lei Jie said impacted Ace's senses, and the black smoke rising from his body made Ace feel even more weird. When Tiki saw Lei Jie displaying the dark fruit ability, he became even more furious and hated him to the bone. He roared and charged towards Lei Jie. Firefly Fire Bodhidharma. Ace opened his palms, and the palms emitted the light of green fire, and green light spots floated out. Green fire spots as big as fireflies appeared between Lei Jie and Tiki, blocking Tiki's steps. Tiki. Thunder Song. No matter what grudges you have, please leave them to me, the captain, to resolve them. Ace said in a deep voice with a firm look. At this moment, he has not let the fireflies explode, but if the two of them don't listen to him, they will no longer be polite. However, Lei Jie and Tiki completely ignored Ic. Tiki. Let me show you the power of the secret fruit that you have been trying to obtain for more than 20 years. Lei Jie's hands were dark and filled with thick black smoke. He pressed down with one hand, dark acupuncture point. Bursts of thick black smoke like water flowed out from Lei Jie's palm, instantly submerging the entire deck of the ship. Tiki. Lei Jie looked at Tiki. Many things in this world are destined. When I am saved by the people on this boat at this point in time, it means that if I am not willing to accept mediocrity, I must kill you and replace you. Of course, I am different from you. I will become a more perfect hero than you. So, please go to hell. Be a stepping stone on my heroic road. Dark acupoint, swallow. When black smoke fills the deck of the entire ship, there is no place to stand here. The dark cave will swallow everything it comes into contact with, regardless of dead things, living things, or energy. Of course, there is flight. Those with special abilities can struggle out of the dark acupoints, but other than that, as long as there is no foothold, no matter what they are, they will not be able to escape the devouring and crushing of the dark acupoints. And natural abilities like Ace and Akainu. Otherwise, the dark acupoints can also devour them, but the elemental physical abilities of the natural system cannot be crushed to death and can only be trapped in the darkness. After their power explodes, if Lei Jie cannot suppress their power with darkness, they will rush out of the darkness. As for the ability of the dark fruit to invalidate the ability of the ability user, only the person with the dark fruit ability can neutralize it by grabbing or touching the ability user. The move cannot have an effect on a natural ability user like Ace, who is very powerful. This is also the reason why in the original work, Blackbeard did not use the dark acupoint to devour Ace during the battle, because even if he swallowed it, will also be rushed out by Ace. In the original book, when Blackbeard encountered Magellan's poisonous dragon, he really couldn't defend himself against this move. Because the dark cave can only sink on the surface of the object. Things swallowed by it and touched by it cannot touch the poisonous dragon flying in the air. As for the dark water move, it must be used with the palm of the hand. The absorption range is too small. Two hands may be able to absorb two poisonous dragons at the same time. But Magellan was a three-headed poisonous dragon at that time. This is why, during the war, Blackbeard was unable to use dark water to absorb the impact of the baboons of the Warring States period, because the range of that move was too large, but, Lei Jie is different from Tiki. Fruit abilities also need to be developed by the ability user. Dark water, dark acupoint ideographic, liberation, is just the most basic move of dark fruit. As long as Lei Jie is given time, he can definitely develop more and stronger moves. Closer to home, at this moment, the dark acupoint submerged Tiki's feet, and Tiki's feet collapsed. Without strong footwork, Teach was completely unable to escape. It can only be swallowed up and crushed little by little. The items on the deck, the bottom of the mast, and the superstructure of the ship were all swallowed up and crushed by the dark holes. Soon, the root of the mast was crushed and began to topple. Some crew members in the distance also suffered from the dark holes. The acupuncture points are devoured and the body collapses. Ace looked at all this in shock and anger, and finally couldn't help but attack Lei Jie. Fire Bodhidharma. Seeing the firefly sticking to his body, Lei Jie's eyes stood up. In the dark, an idea and the power of the fruit came together. Undercurrent. Lei Jie shouted loudly, and used the darkness in his left hand to scoop up the darkness at his feet. He lifted it again, and immediately set off a wave of darkness, which immediately swirled around him like a wall of water. Undercurrent. New dark fruit move. Firefly. The fire was caught up in the undercurrent and failed to attack Lei Ji's body. The undercurrent came and went quickly, mainly because Lei Jie was not very skilled yet. Only 2 meters high and over 1 meter wide. This move has yet to be further developed by Lei Jie. Ace. Lei Jie stared at Ace with cold eyes. Although Ace's footing, the mast, was already falling, Ace was very calm. However, Lei Ji's next words made him unable to remain calm anymore. Ace, I just want to kill Teach alone. If you insist on stopping me, then I will kill everyone on this ship except you. I do what I say. You should be able to tell that with my current abilities, except for those with the natural element and those who can fly, anything else will be crushed by me. No one can escape. You are threatening me. Ace's face was very ugly. He looked back and saw his companions who were being swallowed up by the darkness under his feet and could not escape. He knew that Lei Jie was not lying. Yes, I'm threatening you. Lei Ji's face was expressionless. Ace stared at Lei Jie with squinted eyes. Is it an accident that you were rescued by us, or was it a deliberate arrangement on your part? At this point, what's the point of asking these questions? Lei Jie was indifferent. Whether it was a deliberate arrangement or a real accident, the result didn't happen. Ace was silent, then slowly turned around. From now on, you are no longer a member of our Whitebeard pirates. Of course, since you are determined to do this, you must be mentally prepared to betray. You are probably the fastest member to join and betray in history. To be honest, I was quite optimistic about you before. But, your ambition seems to be very big. Let the others go, as for the others, up to you. At this moment, Tiki saw that he could not break away from the darkness, and his legs also felt severe pain. They were obviously crushed by the power of darkness. Tiki panicked, completely panicked, seeing that Ace was under Lei Ji's threat. Then, he gave up on him and immediately shouted to Ace for help. Ace. You can't leave me alone. We are friends, we are all father's sons. Lei Jie is so ambitious, how could you not kill him? Ace stopped and was silent for a second, then slowly said, Tiki. I believe in my own judgment. When I saw your dragon claws, I knew that all your unambitious behaviors were just disguises. Don't think everyone else is a fool. Yes. Dragon Claw. The source of Tiki's arrogance is that he has the blood of dragon, and is a hybrid of human, fishman and dragon. In ordinary form, he maintains human characteristics, his teeth continue to fall off and grow. It is a characteristic of the Fishmen clan, and those dragon claws are the characteristics inspired by the blood of the dragon clan. It is precisely because of the mixed blood of the 3 clans that he was unable to control this blood power when he was a child. When the dragon claws were exposed, he scared the friends around him and scared him. As the parents of a fishman and a human, he abandoned him. As for why he has the blood of the dragon clan, this is probably because the fusion of the fishman blood and the blood of the D family caused the gene to mutate. What does D represent? It's actually very simple, dragon. Oda's design in this aspect is very intuitive, like monkey. D. Luffy's character prototype is Sun Wukong in Dragon Ball, a monkey. The pronunciation of monkey is monkchi. Oda once served as the assistant to Toriyama Naru Sensei, and the domineering setting is all derived from the ki in Dragon Ball. The D clan is a clan with the blood of the Dragon clan, so they have such strong physical fitness. However, the general D bloodline is very stable and does not show the characteristics of the Dragon clan in appearance. That is why Tiki's D bloodline mutated due to the fish-human bloodline. In addition, Dragon is the ancestor of all beasts in the world view of One Piece. The sap extracted from Kaido's blood factor can grow various artificial animal devil fruits. This can be seen from this. Dragon is the ancestor of all species. A collection of excellent genes. Therefore, Kaido, who has concentrated the genes of all beasts, is a dragon. It is said on the internet that Kaido is a fantasy beast-type dragon fruit. This is actually wrong. Kaido is a dragon, not by taking devil fruits, because Kaido is the strongest creature in sea, land and air, and devil fruits are cursed by the sea. If he really ate the devil fruit, Kaido would not be called the strongest creature in the sea, land and air. Moreover, Kaido is the strongest creature, not the strongest man, because he is not human at all. Talking back to Tiki, he has dragon blood, which is also the root cause of his ambition. Teach felt that his bloodline was so powerful that he had the ambition to dominate the world. In the original work, Teach's pirate flag has 3 heads, which actually represent his 3 bloodlines, not 3 heads. Ordinary alien bodies cannot withstand the power of 2 devil fruits. Only those with strong dragon bloodline can withstand 2 devil fruits. As for Kaido, as an artificial creature created by Roxanne scientist Vegapunk, who concentrated the genes of all beasts, his body rejects the power of all devil fruits. No matter what devil fruits he eats, the power of devil fruits will be expelled from the body. Inside the body, it reincarnates somewhere else. Closer to home, Ace knew that Teach was a traitor just like Lei Jie, so he gave up on Teach. No matter how much Tiki struggled for help, it was to no avail. He could not escape the swallowing of darkness. Soon, Teach was half engulfed by darkness, leaving only his upper body outside. His lower body was crushed by the darkness, his mouth and nose were bleeding, and he stared at Lei Jie with unwillingness, resentment, and hatred. It should have been mine. It should have been mine. Only a bloodline like mine can have the power of 2 fruits, 1 dark fruit and 1 shock fruit, to become the strongest in the world. You, Lei Jie, you can't do it. Even if you get the dark fruit, you can't become the strongest. Tiki roared out all his intentions. However, Lei Jie smiled. I said that some things are destined. Since the dark fruit has chosen me, this means that it is possible for me to have a second devil. The power of the fruit, even the 3rd or 4th one. Do you understand? It was the dark fruit that chose me. After all, the dark fruit was born to deprive demons of their power. Lei Jie's words deeply touched Tiki's heart, but he still didn't believe it, didn't recognize it, and wasn't willing to give in. No, that's not right. Why are you? Tiki shouted. Lei Jie didn't answer him, but concentrated his strength to activate the dark acupoint, swallowing up Tiki's entire body at once. Why? Because I have a system, idiot. Lei Jie muttered something silently in his heart, and then, using the moon step, he climbed into the air and began to leave, beginning to officially launch his journey. Time goes back to the previous moment, when Lei Jie concentrated his strength to activate the dark acupoint, completely sucking Tiki into the darkness and crushing him. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the task of option 3. Now the task rewards will be distributed. Reward 1. Enhanced Dragon Bloodline. Detailed explanation. Terrible physique, physical strength, perseverance, potential, food intake, and physical recovery. Reward 2. Alternative crew information. Ship's doctor, Aba Enhal is an outstanding doctor and poison master who lives in seclusion on the island of Evers in the Great Line. Although he is over 50, he is eager to use his medical skills to treat people all over the world. In his early years, he failed to cure the diseases of the nobles. After being driven out by the nobles and wanted, he joined the pirates and fled to the Grand Line. His pirate group was destroyed. He survived alone and was washed away by the sea to Evo's island, where he has been living alone ever since. Quote. Reward 3. Alternative crew information. Archaeologist, Nicole Robin, the only survivor of O'Hara, the only person in the world who can read the text of history, eager to live, eager to understand the truth of history, now the King Vice President of Baroque Works Company, Limited, established by one of the lower Shichibukai, Sand Crocodile. Reward 4. Alternative crew information. Chisa's bosses, a navigator, a strong man, tall and mighty, bold personality, brave and courageous, worshipping the strong, possessing both intelligence and military skills, currently located on Wilson Island in the New World. He is a local fighter at Wilson Arena, nicknamed Champion. All rewards have been distributed, new options are now open, please host to make a choice. Option 1. Establish a pirate group and recruit an alternate crew member to join your pirate group, and you will be rewarded with intermediate swordsmanship plus unknown reward. Option 2. Establish a pirate group and recruit 2 candidate crew members to join your pirate group, and you will be rewarded with 6 types of navy, iron block plus unknown reward. Option 3. Establish a pirate group, and conquer all candidate crew members to join your pirate group, and you will be rewarded with advanced insight and hockey plus unknown reward. Option 4. Join the Navy and become a Navy captain, and you will be rewarded with Advanced Armed Color Hockey plus unknown reward. Option 5. Choose none of the above options, do whatever you want, reward Navy 6 styles, Lanjiao plus unknown reward. The host has 10 seconds to choose. The countdown is now 10, 9, 8. Lei Jie thought for a moment and then made a choice. I choose option 3. Since he decided to become a hero, how could he join the Navy? Even if he pretended to be a Navy first and then defected later. A hero, he may not stick to trivial matters, but he never bows his head. In a system like the Navy, where you are assigned here and there by your superiors, but you are still restricted at every turn, and cannot completely act on your own will, then how can you talk about heroism? A bear is pretty much the same. As for choosing whatever you want, that's not okay. Since you want to be a hero, you must form your own force. After all, no matter how powerful the lion is, there are times when he takes a nap. The 3 candidates are all outstanding talents, and they are all the subordinates and helpers Lei Jie longs for. Although the 3 people have different personalities, they may not necessarily be able to get along harmoniously, and they may even have their own agendas. However, if you want to be a great tycoon and can't manage your subordinates well, then why do you still want to be a tyrant or a tyrant? My subordinates naturally need training. Dare you have other thoughts? Train you. Teach you to be loyal. Still disobedient and disloyal. Then kill it. After choosing, Lei Jie left Whitebeard's ship with Moon Steps and came to the DeKalban brothers' ship. After obtaining the enhanced dragon bloodline, Lei Jie's physical fitness has become significantly stronger again. If he broke through a physical limit before and his strength was 20 tons, now he has at least increased his strength to 30 tons. The body's recovery power is even more frightening. The lower back that was scratched by little DeKalban during the day has fully recovered. You heard that right, from the time he obtained the bloodline to the time he walked to Brother DeKalban's ship in a moonwalk, the wound had completely healed in less than a minute. When Lei Jie landed on the deck of the bow of the DeKalban brothers' ship, everyone on the ship was shocked. They stared at Lei Jie nervously and alertly, raising their knives and getting ready for a fight. The ships of Whitebeard's 2 squadrons were very close to this ship. The movement at that time also attracted the attention of the DeKalban brothers' pirates. They determined that Lei Jie, the god of death, had now eaten a demon. The fruit became stronger, even Captain Ace retreated. At this time, the DeKalban brothers stared at Lei Jie in shock and anger. Lei Jie's expression was very indifferent. I need this ship to go to sea, as well as some supplies, navigation charts, recording pointers, permanent pointers. Oh, by the way, I also need a good quality knife. Leave these things, you can go away. You've gone too far. Little DeKalban roared. Yeah. Lei Jie laughed, and thick black smoke began to pour out from behind, and his hands turned pitch black. Seeing this scene, everyone's brows jumped. Little DeKalban was about to say something, but was stopped by Big DeKalban. Ban stopped. Big DeKalban looked at Lei Jie and said, okay, I'll give you everything. But you have to remember that we are already members of the Whitebeard Pirates, and you are no longer. One day, we will meet again. Lei Jie's eyes were lazy and he was noncommittal. Then, the great DeKalban asked people to take away some personal belongings, leaving behind food, a small amount of weapons, as well as the navigation charts, recording pointers and other items mentioned by Lei Jie, and left the place. The ship. Lei Jie began to sail out to sea. As he passed the ship of the 4th Division, Sachi stood on the bow and looked at Lei Jie with complicated eyes. After receiving this information from Ace, Sachi felt that he should. No need, he is not the kind of person who can exert the power of this fruit, so he has no resentment towards Lei Jie. Lei Jie glanced at Sachi and then looked away. Although it was because of Lei Jie. It was caused by the appearance of Lei Jie, but Lei Jie did not save Saki on purpose. He did not die, which can only show that he was lucky. A month later, Lei Jie arrived at Wilson Island with difficulty. Because of his poor navigation, he robbed Saki. The big ship that came here has been battered by storms and huge waves. Therefore, it seems that not only do we need to recruit Bashes as a navigator, but we also need to find some workers here to repair the ship, or directly build a new ship. After personally experiencing sailing for a month, Lei Jie realized that this was not a fun thing. If it weren't for his huge strength, proficient physical skills, and the ability to stay in the air and fly for a short period of time, he would have been buried in the sea. The clothes on my body were already smelly. Because I ate the devil fruit and couldn't swim in the sea, I could only use a bucket to collect seawater to wash my body. The process of rinsing made Lei Jie feel a little disgusted. He finally experienced the unpleasant feeling of land duck touching the water. In the past month, the food reserves were enough for ordinary people to eat for 3 months, but Lei Jie ate more than half of them in 3 days. Later, considering that he would starve to death without food, Lei Jie suppressed his appetite and fishing personally, or hunting on the sea surface with moon steps, but unfortunately the harvest was not abundant, which made Lei Jie almost unable to eat enough every day after that. Now, we finally arrived at the first destination of our voyage, Wilson Island. There is a quite large town on the island, Wilson Town. Lei Jie docked the pirate ship at the port, and regardless of other people's looks or intentions towards the ship, he got off the ship and went straight to the restaurant. Boss, bring me something to eat and drink. Give me as much as you want. Lei Jie followed the smell and quickly found a large restaurant that looked good. He rushed in, sat down on the table, and shouted loudly without any grace. Sir, do you have money? The waiter looked at Lei Jie and asked nervously. Lei Jie looked at the waiter with some displeasure and frowned. The waiter was stared at by Lei Jie's unkind eyes and took a few steps back in fear. This only then did Lei Jie suddenly realize that the people around him, including this waiter, were a bit small. That's right. It just felt like Lei Jie was bigger than them just sitting there. Most people are taller. But Lei Jie immediately figured out the reason. It should be that he had grown taller over the past month. He had no reference point, so he ignored the waiter for a while, and Lei Jie didn't. Instead of beating him, he took out the sword from his waist and placed it on the table. This sword is worth at least 100,000 belly, which is definitely enough for me to eat. At this time, the boss also came over in a hurry, licking his smiling face. Hey, okay, sir, we will serve you something to eat right now. Come on, hurry up, I'm starving. Lei Jie waved his hand indifferently. As long as he serves delicious food quickly, everything will be easy. Hey, okay, guest, here you go. The boss immediately went to make arrangements. Having run a restaurant for many years, he naturally has some eyesight. He could tell at a glance that Lei Jie was very difficult to deal with. He was probably a ferocious pirate. In order to avoid real losses, he would just be scolded and drizzled. But, the boss's face soon became ugly. Because, this is not enough to describe Lei Jie. There are 3 stacks in front of Lei Jie. An ordinary plate. And Lei Jie eats it too fast, pouring it into his mouth after a few bites, and now the kitchen can't even supply it. There, the boss couldn't stand it any longer and said cautiously, Dear guest, I have a small suggestion. Say it. As long as we get some food quickly, everything will be fine. Lei Jie waved his hand and said boldly. That's right, the shop supplies you, my guest, with the finest ingredients. The cost of your table has already exceeded 300,000 belly. Hearing this, Lei Jie raised his eyebrows. Seeing this, the boss quickly smiled and said, However, it doesn't matter. I just have a suggestion. We have a fighting arena in Wilson Town. As long as you win 1 game, you can get 100,000 Baileys. I'm here to see you. He is tall and domineering, and he will win a few games, no problem. As long as you finish your meal, come with me to the fighting arena to participate in the competition. You don't have to pay for it, no matter whether you win or not. Pay. Okay, let's do it like this, just give me something to eat quickly. Anyway, Lei Jie is going to the Wilson arena. There's nothing wrong with letting this boss lead the way. Hey, okay, sir, we will give you as much as you can eat. The boss hurriedly went to make arrangements, and soon, a large amount of food was served again. Half an hour later, Lei Jie was finally full and his belly was round. Let's go. Lei Jie picked up the sword and waved his hand towards the boss. The boss was very happy to see Lei Jie so cheerful. This shows that Lei Jie is very confident in his own strength. It seems that the loss can be recovered. Soon, the group arrived at Wei at the Xuan fighting arena. The boss personally completed all the entry procedures for Lei Jie, which actually made Lei Jie feel a lot less worried. Oh, By the way, when I was attending the competition, I measured my height and weight. He is 2.76 meters tall, a full meter taller than before the journey. His weight has increased from 60 kilograms to 600 kilograms. He has extremely strong tendon meat and is burly and domineering. The sunlight during the voyage has formed a healthy wheat color. The only thing that wasn't good was that his face was unkempt and his hair was messy. He hadn't taken care of it for more than a month. After waiting in the lounge for about an hour, it was finally Lei Ji's turn to go on stage. And he was the host first. Lei Ji didn't listen to the rules of the game and just dozed there. In short, it was very boring. Finally, the game started. A big man on the opposite side who was not inferior to Lei Ji roared towards Lei Ji. You can tell at a glance that this guy is not even proficient in basic combat skills. He picked his ears. When this guy got close, he punched him and knocked him away dozens of meters. It hit the wall under the auditorium, shocking the audience there. However, bursts of cheers erupted from the auditorium. Wilson Fighting Arena, VIP Room. Lei Ji has won 10 games in a row, almost always defeating his opponent with one move. This attracted the attention of Wilson Fighting Arena, and Lei Ji's lounge was immediately transferred from an ordinary room where a large group of people were crowded together, to a luxurious and spacious VIP room with tea and desserts. They even sent a pretty girl Shangji, a young girl, come to serve Lei Ji. Oops, Mr. Lei is so powerful. No one can withstand one of your moves. I'm afraid that in this arena, only the champion of the town can compete with you. The boss was patting him on the side and complimenting him. Make arrangements for me, I want to fight this champion. Lei Ji said lightly. Forehead, the boss was stunned and said, are you in such a hurry? We can still fight with other people a few more times. In addition, the person in charge of the fighting field hopes that you can pretend to fight with the opponent for a while, even though you can beat the opponent with one punch. Fei Yi is very handsome, but the audience is really not satisfied with it. Hee hee. Lei Ji sneered and stared at the boss with cold eyes. You seem to have made a mistake. I'm not here to perform, let alone to make money for you, do you understand? When the restaurant owner saw this, he immediately started to sweat and nodded in agreement. However, you are still of some use, so I will stay in the fighting arena for a few more days. I have a pirate ship in the port. You can find some shipwrights to repair it. The money will be deducted from the part 1 earned from the competition. Lei Ji lay on his back on the sofa in a leisurely manner, enjoying the little beauty pinching his legs. Okay, Mr. Lei, I will find the best boatman for you to repair it. The restaurant owner immediately ran away. So, Lei Ji and the little beauty were alone in the VIP room. Lei Ji looked at the little beauty and said, please help me take a shower. The little beauty's face turned red nervously. Okay, sir. As a maid who was sold to the fighting arena just to serve a big shot like Lei Ji, she couldn't refuse. A moment later, in the huge bathroom, the little beauty was wearing thin and almost transparent clothes, scrubbing Lei Ji with foam soap. And massaged Lei Ji's muscles. On the third day, Lei Ji, who had won 50 consecutive games, finally faced off against Bashes, the champion of the gold belt in the fighting arena. Boom, boom, boom. Bossos walked onto the ring, and the ground was shaking slightly. He raised his extremely thick arms and roared to the surrounding audience. The audience immediately became excited and shouted Bash's name, champion. I watched your game and you are indeed very strong. Bashes looked at Lei Ji proudly. However, I have encountered opponents who are stronger than you, but in the end, they all lost to me. Oh. Yeah. Lei Ji smiled. Not to mention anything else, in terms of strength alone, he has only used 30% of his strength in the competition so far. After all, in the past month or so, while his body has grown, his strength has also increased significantly. In the first 2 months, Tian Gang tested it with a force of 80 tons. A car in the previous life was less than 2 tons, which means that Lei Ji can carry at least 40 cars with his hands. He was easily thrown thousands of meters away. If he met the DeKalban brothers again, he would be able to defeat them with just a few punches. Why are you laughing? Bashes was very unhappy with Lei Ji's appearance. How about we make a bet? Lei Ji said, I'm recruiting crew members. I heard that you once served as a navigator and you are a good helmsman. If you lose to me in terms of strength, become my crew member. Follow my orders. Bosses was stunned when he heard this. And then laughed. Ha ha ha, I have no interest in playing pirate games with you weaklings. If I want to join, I will only join the super strong ones who have the ability to become the emperor of the sea. However, in the face of this ridicule, Lei Jie unexpectedly laughed. Ha 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 ha, I'm starting to appreciate you, Bashes. I like what you said very much. If you want to join, you should only join the super strong ones who have the ability to become the emperor of the sea. Unfortunately, I have this ability. Lei Jie showed a domineering smile and opened his arms. Rolling black smoke rose from Lei Jie's back, and thick black smoke came out from both his arms, making Lei Jie look like a dark demon. Devil fruit user. Shabazz looked at Lei Jie in surprise. The audience at the scene also exclaimed, curious and frightened at Lei Jie's sudden display of strange abilities. Lei Jie slowly walked towards Bashes and said with a smile, I don't know how to do this. You use your devil fruit ability, because once you use it, you will be crushed by my dark power. After all, I want you to be the helmsman of my ship. Lei Jie put away the power of darkness. If you want to see my ability, there will be more opportunities in the future, and then you will understand whether what I say is true or false. Now, please express your opinion. Do you accept this bet? Bossa's face darkened. But this bet does not specify the conditions for you to lose. Ha 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 ha, because I will never lose. Lei Jie laughed, and immediately leaned over, digging his hands into the hard marble of the ring at his feet like tofu. Who? Wake me up. Lei Jie roared, and everyone was shocked to see that the ring was torn apart from Lei Jie's feet by the huge force of his arms, and was lifted from the ground. To be honest, Bossas, your strength is still too weak. Lei Jie taunted, then he raised a 10-meter-wide boulder torn from the ground to his head with one hand, and then threw it towards the sky. After a loud noise of friction against the air, the boulder disappeared. In the sky. Shocked. Everyone in the fighting field was stunned. What do you think? Are you convinced by such strength? Lei Jie looked at Bashes with a smile. But fighting is not just about having strength. Bashes said something and rushed towards Lei Jie, shouting, if you can defeat me in 10 moves, I will recognize you as my captain. Lei Jie smiled. He was laughing at both the 10 moves, too many and Bash's character. The two contradictory personalities of uprightness and cunning are magically integrated into one. The upright one will obey the strong seriously, the cunning one will be petty and clever. As for the 10 tricks, Bashas thinks too highly of himself. The current Bashas is not the champion who can display armed domineering in Drosrosa 2 years after the original war, but is just a weakling with about the same strength as the boss of the East China Sea Murloc's evil dragon. Faced with the impact of Bashas, he hit with a huge fist. Lei Jie immediately bent his legs like lightning, clenched his fists, twisted around, and then faced the huge fist coming from Bosses, and punched out with a brazen punch. Boom! Snapped. With one punch, Champion Bash's body shook violently, the stone slab under his feet shattered, and with a crisp sound, the elbow pad on his right arm shattered. This was only the first move. Bashas was stunned by Lei Jie's fierce punch, which directly hit him. Lei Jie used his grappling hand to grab Boss's right wrist, and in a few steps he took Bosses into the air. Ah! In mid-air, Bashas shouted in terror. But Lei Jie has no intention of sparing him. Dare to be petty with him and make a promise of 10 moves. Okay, let's do 10 moves. The second move. Lei Jie suddenly fell in mid-air, and brought Bosses to the ground hard. Wow! Bossos landed on his back, making a hole in the ground. The violent impact of the landing made Bossos choke and foam at the mouth. Not enough, not enough, the third move. Lei Jie dragged Bashas up and then threw him into the air. Wow wow wow, in mid-air, Bosses screamed in fright again. When Bashas reached its peak in the sky, Lei Jie jumped into the air, surpassing Bashas' height in a few steps. Quote exclamation mark quote. Bosses opened his eyes in mid-air, and was horrified to see that Lei Jie clenched his hands together to form a fist hammer, and then, struck Bosses hard in the abdomen. Wow! Bashas vomited profusely. He then crashed onto the incomplete ring, smashing the stone slabs and splashing a large amount of gravel and smoke. Crack! Lei Jie landed on the ground and said with a smile, the fourth move. Just lift up your foot casually, like kicking a football, and throw it out. Wow. Bashes spat out liquid wildly, and was kicked away. He hit the wall under the auditorium and was embedded in it. The audience on the stage stared blankly at this, a one-sided beating, and couldn't help but secretly I was sweating for Bossos. It was so tragic. Bang. Bossos fell from the wall and fell to the ground. Huh. Huh. Bossos breathed heavily. Hey, he's still angry. Then, the fifth move. Leger, who came here, laughed and teased, and stretched out his big hand. Slow down, Captain. When Bosses saw this, a flash of fear flashed in his eyes, and he endured the severe pain and immediately shouted. Oh. Didn't I say 10 moves? Why are you calling Captain now? Leger said with a smile. Cough. Captain. From today on, you are the only captain of me, Zeus's bosses. Bashes got up, looked at Leger with awe in his eyes, and said with a smile, I just said within 10 moves, I didn't say that I really have to take 10 moves. Leger turned around with a smile, then why didn't you tell me what to do? Bosses lay on the ground and scratched his head with a silly smile. Okay, now that the game is over, I'll take the first step. You pack your personal belongings as soon as possible. I'll wait for you on the boat. Leger gave the order and walked straight out of the arena. He was not worried that Bashes would dare to disobey, and even more ignored the rules of the fighting arena. My lord, you are now the new champion of the fighting arena. But where are you going? How nice it would be to stay in the fighting arena. The restaurant owner stumbled towards Leger and shouted anxiously. Hearing this, Leger paused and glanced at the restaurant owner with cold eyes. Do you really think I'm a cash cow? The restaurant owner was immediately frightened out of his mind by Leger's eyes. Leger would show some domineering looks, inadvertently domineering. He fell softly to the ground with a thud, and quickly shook his head and explained. How dare I? This is for your consideration, sir. After all, life at sea is so difficult. Remember to send all my money to the ship. Leger glared at the restaurant owner, and then walked away towards the exit. At the exit of the fighting arena, the girl, who had served Leger for 3 days had been waiting there for a long time. Leger walked over and gently hugged her with one hand. Take her away. Gentlemen. When the guard standing at the door saw this, he immediately changed his color and said, if you want to take her away, you need to pay her ransom. Hearing this, Leger paused. The girl's pretty white face looked at Leger with a trace of uneasiness. How much? Leger asked lightly. The guard didn't seem to understand. At this time, the elder came with his guards and smiled at Leger. 5 million Baileys, Mr. Lay can take her away. Oh. 5 million Baileys. Leger showed a thoughtful expression. Seeing this, the girl's expression became even more uneasy. She didn't want to stay here and live a gloomy life. Even if she followed Leger on the ship, it would be harder and more dangerous, so she was not willing to stay here, because she saw many sisters, they were ruined by men who did not respect women. Mr. Lay, the girl by Chow Leger whispered. By the way, how many women like this are there in your fighting arena, specially used to serve VIPs? Leger suddenly asked. Oh. The elder of the fighting field was very interested when he heard this. So, Mr. Lay wants to buy a few more beauties and take them away. Let me take a look first. If you are satisfied, buy it. Leger said lightly. Then please come this way, the elder smiled. The business of buying and selling people couldn't be more profitable. After a while, in the gorgeous VIP room, the elder asked the guards to bring a dozen young beauties. The elder smiled at Leger, who was sitting on the sofa. These are the same as the girls beside you, Mr. Lay. They are all babies that have just arrived a few months ago. Their faces and figures are top-notch, and the prices are all 500. Juan Bailey, Mr. Lay, which ones do you want to buy? Leger smiled and waved his hand. Send them all to my boat. The elder was immediately shocked. Leger. Sir, you want them all? Anything else? Leger looked at the elder, who looked surprised. When the girls present saw this, they all showed very anxious and complicated expressions. The elder was even more surprised. These are not enough. The girl looked at Leger blankly, also very surprised. Not enough. Lei Jie hugged the girl by tightly, lowered his head and teased her with his hands, and said, "No amount of money is enough for such a charming and lovely girl." Seeing Lei Jie being so lustful, the elder also smiled and said, "If Mr. Lei is willing to wait for a few days, I think we can send you at least 10 more beautiful girls like this here." Lei Jie immediately shook his head. "That won't work. I'm going to sail today. Since all the inventory in your fighting arena is here, that's the end of the deal." Actually, the elder smiled again and said, "Of course we still have stock, but they are not such girls anymore, but I can guarantee that they know how to serve men better than girls. The key price is only 2 million Baileys each, hee hee. This is good. Come on, bring them all to me for a look." Lei Jie waved his hand, seemingly boldly. Within a moment, more than 30 young women with different charms were brought over. Lei Jie took a look and waved his hand again. "I want them all." The elder laughed so hard that his teeth almost fell out. He immediately called the accountant and was about to calculate the total price. But Lei Jie stood up and said directly, "Don't worry, I am bringing so many women on board, so I have to buy some things for the women. Can you help me? I'll get all the items together and calculate the total ledger together. Now, send these beauties to my ship first." Hearing this, the elder couldn't help but hesitate for a second, and then said, "Mr. Lei, in that case, why not pay a part of the deposit first? What do you think? No big deal. Take the beauties and follow me. My boat is full of gold and jewels, and I still don't have enough money like yours." Lei Jie waved his hand, laughed and hugged the girl by and walked out of the door. The elder hesitated and looked at Lei Jie's back for a second, but immediately arranged for someone to escort these beauties and followed Lei Jie and the two. A group of about 50 young beauties, dressed as maids, were led by more than 30 armed guards on both sides, led by Lei Jie, who was holding the girl by in his arms. These beautiful maids walked toward the port in a mighty manner. They all had low eyebrows and complicated expressions, feeling confused and uneasy about their next fate. The people in Wilson Town were amazed when they saw this scene, and talked in low voices. There were many ugly-looking men who were looking at these people. The young and charming maid showed a strong look of greed. Halfway through the journey, a guard suddenly came from behind and came to the elder in front of the team. Hearing this, the elder's face immediately changed. After a sudden change, he asked Lei Jie expressionlessly, "Mr. Lei, I heard that you ate in a restaurant before and came to our fighting arena to compete because you had no money to pay the bill. Ha ha ha, there's so much gold and jewelry, I can't carry it to the restaurant. What a no-brainer." Lei Jie laughed and cursed. The elder's face froze. The young and charming maids at the back of the team also laughed. "What are you laughing? The elder looked unhappy. When the guard captain next to him saw this, he immediately scolded the maids. For a moment, the maids did not dare to say anything anymore and buried their heads lower. Unexpectedly, the guard captain had just scolded him. Lei Jie stood up with an angry look, turned around and slapped the guard captain in the face, sending him flying out. Blood spurted out from his mouth on the spot, and the old man's face was swollen. "The dog slave who doesn't know whether to live or die. My maid, when will it be your turn to teach me a lesson?" After scolding this, Lei Jie felt that it was not enough. He pulled out the knife from his waist on the spot and walked over with a tiger's stride. "Oh, my lord, have mercy." The head guard with a swollen face was frightened when he saw this. The elder also looked livid when he saw this. "Spare you." Lei Jie weighed the knife twice and said, "That's right, give me these 50 maids, kowtow and admit your mistakes one by one, and I will spare you." This, the head guard's expression froze. He then glanced at the elder, hoping that the elder would intercede. As a result, the elder closed his eyes and focused, turned his head to one side, and pretended not to have seen it at all. Gudong. The captain of the guard swallowed, but after all he couldn't resist the threat of the sword. He crawled over and began to kowtow to the maids one by one to admit their mistakes. The maids were all surprised, strange, and frightened. Their expressions changed, and they began to be curious about Lei Jie, the new master. After the captain of the guard kowtowed, his face was covered with blood and he looked miserable. The team then continued to set off. The elder walked to the captain of the guard, whispered something in his ear, and then said, "Go back and treat the wound on your head." The captain of the guard rode away. After a while, the group finally arrived at the port. The repair work on the big ship had been completed. Although it didn't look very new and beautiful, it was still complete. It could accommodate more than 100 people and had all kinds of facilities. Ha ha ha, the person has been delivered to Mr. Lei here. What do you think? It's time for Mr. Lei to show the deposit, or call me to arrange for someone to buy the items needed by the maids immediately. The elder said with a smile. Ha 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 ha, the maids stay here. Elder, please take some guards and follow me into the cabin. Gold and jewelry are very heavy. Immediately, the elder took all the guards with him and followed Lei Jie onto the boat. The maids were all left outside, including the girl Bai, and Lei Jie did not take him with him. The elder followed Lei Jie into the bottom cabin, looking at the empty and dark cabin. His face couldn't help but change, and he said solemnly, Mr. Lei, there are gold and jewelry. Ha, I'll take it out to you right now. Lei Jie sneered. Thick black smoke suddenly rose from his hands and behind his back, and he pressed down on the ground with one hand. Dark acupuncture point. In an instant, black smoke as thick as water swept from the ground and rushed towards the feet of the elders and others. The elders and others were shocked and angry, and finally understood that Lei Jie had no intention of paying from the beginning to the end, nor did he. No money at all. Kill him. The elder waved his hand to the guards behind him. Just as the guards were about to take action, their feet were already covered by darkness. What is this? Everyone was shocked. I can't pull out my foot. Ah, it seems like something has pinched my foot. It hurts. The elder was even more frightened, staring at Lei Jie with a painful expression. Let me go quickly. My guards are calling for experts. If they find out something happened to me, they will definitely not let you go. Haha, interesting. Lei Jie smiled coldly and clenched his hands vigorously, dark acupoint blowing. In a moment, the water of darkness climbed up the bodies of the elders and others. After a few seconds, it completely covered the entire bodies of these people, and then suddenly fell down. The darkness swallowed these people. Lei Jie collected out of the darkness, he stepped onto the deck, looked at the maids at the port, and laughed and said, Come up, everyone. The girl Bai immediately followed the rattan rope and climbed onto the boat. Where are the elders and guards? Someone asked in a low voice. How? You are willing to stay in the fighting arena? Lei Jie asked unhappily. For a moment, the maids looked at each other and did not dare to speak. However, there was still a particularly beautiful girl who slowly walked out. She looked at Lei Jie closely with her big eyes and said, Just now we were there. Screams were heard outside. Sir, did you kill all the elders and the others? Ha 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 ha, yes, I am a pirate. It's just that the pirate flag hasn't been hung yet. Even if you have gold and jewelry, you can't give it to him. After Lei Jie said this, the maids changed their expressions again and looked frightened. They thought Lei Jie was a merchant at sea, but they didn't expect him to be a pirate. No wonder he was so cruel and domineering. But the girl who just spoke could not hold back a trace of fear. Asked. Sir, I want to ask, what are you going to do with us? Ha! Lei Jie laughed. I bought you, what else can I do with you? Of course I want you to work for me. Work. The girls were confused by this term. Could it mean doing RBQ for Lei Jie? Or was it used to entertain the crew? Stop talking nonsense and get on board. Lei Jie didn't have the patience to explain to them in detail, so he ordered directly. However, the particularly beautiful girl suddenly shouted with tears in her eyes, Sir, I know how to cook and do laundry. Can you just let me do these tasks? Lei Jie suddenly laughed. I need just such a talent. Talent. All the maids were stunned. What kind of talent is this for washing and cooking? However, after a moment of confusion, another girl shouted. I can also do laundry and cook. I can mend clothes. I can fish. I can draw. I can sing. I can. So, can we not be allowed to serve those men? Lei Jie looked up and laughed when he saw the hopeful expressions of these women. Okay, stop nagging, hurry up and get on the boat. The boat is still dirty and needs someone to clean it. For a moment, the girls looked at each other, and they all showed a hint of joy. Then, one by one, they climbed up the boat along the rattan rope with difficulty. Suddenly, a group of people and horses came, led by a horseman, tall and long. The middle-aged man with a goatee, beside him, is the captain of the guard who was taught a lesson by Lei Jie. Where are the elders? The middle-aged man with a goatee glared fiercely. Lei Jie jumped off the bow of the ship, jumped onto the port, walked towards these people, and said with a smile, "Your elders have already brought the gold and jewelry and led the people back. How are you here to deliver supplies to me?" The strong man with a goatee stared at Lei Jie. "I heard that you have a lot of gold and jewelry on your ship." "That's certainly a lot. How? You have ideas?" Lei Jie said with a lukewarm smile. "Ha ha ha ha, of course you have an idea." The strong man with the goatee raised his head and laughed, then glared at Lei Jie. "I am the gang boss of this island. If you are wise, give me the jewels and gold as soon as possible." The strong man with the goatee seemed to see that Lei Jie was not weak, so he dismounted and started to transform, turning into a satyr monster with 2 horns. "I am a devil fruit user, with animal-type sheep fruit powers." The satyr raised the black hooves of both hands. "When I step down with this hoof, I can leave a mark on even steel. I can crush your knife with just 1 hoof." The maids who had just climbed onto the ship couldn't help but become nervous when they saw the confrontation at the port. Lei Jie was also a little surprised when he heard this. He's actually a devil fruit user. "Then, I won't kill you." Dark water. Lei Jie raised his pitch-black hand and opened his fingers towards the satyr from a distance. From Lei Jie's palm, a dark vortex came out. Suddenly, the satyr felt a powerful and irresistible force. The suction force pulled his entire body towards Lei Jie's palm. What happened? The satyr was frightened. "Ha ha ha, I forgot to introduce myself. I am a natural-type dark fruit ability user." Natural style. The satyr was frightened. The arrest was successful. Lei Jie grabbed the satyr who was being sucked away with 1 hand. The satyr was horrified and felt that his whole body had lost all power. And he instantly degenerated from the orc state into a human form. What kind of ability is this? Just like Hai Lu Shi. Goatee doesn't understand how Lei Jie's dark fruit has such a strange ability. "Get down here." The answer to Goatee was Lei Jie's fierce punch, which hit Goatee's head and smashed Goatee into the soil. Goatee's eyes turned white, foaming at the mouth, and he fainted. Those on the opposite side, everyone was stunned. How could their boss be defeated so easily? Their boss, Goatee, was a strong man who could even defeat a powerful pirate with a bounty of 50 million belly, 1 punch ko. The maids on the bow deck saw that Lei Jie was so powerful, their eyes were full of excitement, and they started talking in low voices. "Your Excellency is so awesome. Yes, his fists are so fierce. I recognize this Goatee. He is the underground boss of Wilson Island. Everyone on Wilson Island is afraid of him. Unexpectedly, under our adults, he was defeated with 1 punch." Stepping on Goatee's head, Lei Jie looked at the group of people with a ferocious gaze. Who else is a capable person? Yahaha. Lei Jie's unique laughter after growing into a burly body of 2.76 meters. "This is really disappointing. Since there are no more capable people here, then you all just go to hell." Lei Jie smiled ferociously, and pressed down with his dark hand, dark acupuncture point. The flow of darkness in the dark acupoints is very fast, and it covers a large area in an instant. "Ah, what is this? Run away." These Goatee men could no longer care about their boss and fled for their lives. But how could their speed be faster than the covering speed of the dark acupuncture points? In just a few breaths, darkness submerged their feet. What the hell is this? My feet. I can't pull them out, my body is sinking. These people screamed in horror, but soon, as their bodies gradually sank into the darkness, these people could only howl in agony, because their legs had been crushed by the power of darkness. On the bow deck of the ship, the maids looked at this scene in horror. "Sir, he is really cruel. These people couldn't even touch the corners of his clothes, but they were eaten by strange things. If we make the adults unhappy, will they do the same to us?" The maids are afraid. Within a moment, not a single one of the more than 100 subordinates brought by Goatee Bear was swallowed up by the darkness. Lei Jie put away the power of darkness and looked at some places in the darkness. Based on his knowledge, he had already discovered that some people with evil intentions had gathered here. Lei Jie knew the purpose of these people, and most likely they wanted to kidnap these young and beautiful maids. Now, he has killed all the elders, but his supplies have not yet arrived. Then he looked at the guys who were peeping in the dark and laughed ferociously. "Ah ha ha. I believe you can see that no one can disobey me. If you don't want the whole town to be swallowed up by my darkness, then bring me some food and drinks from the town. I have dozens of women to support now. Yeah ha 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 ha. Lei Jie felt that this might not be enough of a shock, so he walked towards a nearby building on the spot, stretched out his hands and dug into the foundation, and then, click, the entire house from the foundation was directly struck by Lei Jie. Lift it up. Immediately afterwards, Lei Jie raised his arms high, then threw it into the sky, and finally fell with a bang on the street of the town, making the whole town seem to shake. Weird. Monster. Devil. Quick. Go get him food and drinks quickly, otherwise this monster will destroy the town and kill us all. Go and move, everyone. Suddenly, as expected, the people who were hiding no longer took any chances, and immediately acted in panic as Lei Jie asked. Within a moment, someone used carriages and horses to transport a large amount of food and wine. The mayor was alarmed, he came here in person, humbled himself to please Lei Jie, and sent 2 more young and beautiful women, as well as some treasures, women's supplies, weapons and other supplies. Why are you all standing there? I haven't even changed into neat clothes yet and moved all my things into the cabin. On the bow deck, a large amount of supplies were piled like a mountain. Lei Jie waved his hand and ordered the maids hiding at the cabin door to work. The maids turned pale and hurriedly took action. You. Lei Jie pointed at the beautiful girl who took the initiative to speak. What's your name? This extremely beautiful girl blinked at Lei Jie, took a deep breath, and said crisply, reporting to your lord, my daughter's name is Misha. Well, okay, from today on, you, Misha, will be responsible for helping me manage these maids. Do you understand? Ah. Misha was stunned for a moment, but then nodded. Misha understands. Xiao Bai, come here. Lei Jie waved to the girl Bai who was taking inventory. Grown-ups. The girl came in vain. Well, this is Misha, who is responsible for managing these maids, and you are my personal maid. If I have any needs, just tell Misha. As for me, I will just be a lazy person and enjoy yours comfortably. Just serve. Lei Jie lay on the sofa, said lazily, and then hugged the girl Bai over. Oops, sir, you are so bad, so many sisters are watching. Yeah ha 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 ha. Early the next morning, Bossos came to the ship to report. Seeing so many beautiful maids, he felt nothing because he had been injured in that area when he was a child and could not get hard at all. His hobbies were only drinking, fighting, and being with people. Compare strength. Hey, Captain, I'm here to report. Bashas scratched his head and smiled, but then he found a goatee who was tied in a barrel, his body was submerged in sea water, and only one head was exposed. Hey, isn't this the sheep-bearded boss? Yangbeard heard the sound, opened his eyes, saw that it was an old acquaintance, and immediately shouted, Bashas, save me quickly. Save you. Bossos chuckled, you were not very kind to me before, and you even mocked me for not being a man. Why should I save you? Not to mention. You look like my captain's prisoner. So how could I possibly go against my captain? Are you stupid? After saying that, he no longer cared about the goatee, leaving him there with a miserable look on his face. Lei Jie asked the maid to bring the wine, drank with Bosses, and then asked, Bosses, do you know where I can get sea-floor stone? Sea-floor stone. I remember there was some stock in the fighting arena. Bashas said. Ha ha ha. Very good, have a good drink, you go and grab the sea-floor stone, and let the craftsmen in the town make a large sea-floor stone fabric as quickly as possible. Make it as big as you can. Use sea-floor stone to make fabric. What is this used for? Bashas was confused. Haha, you will know when the time comes. Lei Jie laughed and took a sip of wine, and said mysteriously. Okay, I'll go then. Bashas grabbed a barrel of wine and took it with him, then got off the boat and went straight to the fighting arena. After Bossos left, Lei Jie led Misha and the maids to the deck and asked, which of you are interested in becoming a warrior? When the maids heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other. Lei Jie said, if you are willing to become a warrior, you don't have to do chores like cleaning, cooking, and laundry. But accordingly, you have to accept my physical training, which will be more difficult than doing chores. Woman. Lei Jie stretched out his hand and shook it. You must also learn to hold your own destiny in the palm of your hand. When the maids heard this, their eyes were inexplicably bright, but more importantly, they were timid and unconfident. Seeing that no one came forward for a while, Leger was a little disappointed. Misha bit her lip, took a step forward and said, "Sir, no, do you know if I can?" "Sure." Leger's eyes lit up, "But you also have to be responsible for managing the maids. However, you can find someone to manage it for you." "Yes." Misha clenched her fists in excitement. Then she looked back at the maids and named them. "Sister Mengluo, why don't you take over from me and manage the maids? You have been in the fighting arena for a long time, and your ability to handle chores is better than us." After saying that, Misha looked at Lei Jie, who nodded. A soft and beautiful woman who was nearly 30 years old but well-maintained stood up and bowed. "Then the little girl will obey the orders of the captain and the chief maid." "Got it." Lei Jie nodded. Although the maids have no effect on combat power and may even drag some oil bottles, they can make him live happily instead of like a savage. Dominating the world is what I want. Enjoy life. That's what I want. Otherwise, what's the point of dominating the world? Lei Jie looked at these maids again and asked for the last time, "Who else is willing to become a warrior besides Misha?" After a pause, Lei Jie continued, "You must know that I am a pirate. I have to fight against vicious opponents, and I may not be able to protect you everywhere. How about this, each of you train with me for a few days, if you think you can bear the hardship, just continue training, okay?" The maids looked at each other, and then nodded slowly one by one. At that moment, Lei Jie asked Misha and Meng Luo to divide the 50 maids into two groups. One group was responsible for doing chores, and the other group followed him. The two groups were trained one day at a time. Next, Lei Jie began to train the first group of maids on the deck. He first put them into smart clothes and then started the most basic physical exercises. The next day, Bossos returned to the ship carrying a cloth bag. "Captain, I brought the stuff." Bashas followed Lei Jie's instructions and unfolded the Halu stone curtain. Lei Jie touched it and nodded with satisfaction. Then, he asked Bashas to take the goat's beard out of the bucket, and asked the maid, "Put the various fruits prepared earlier in a large basket and placed them next to Yang beard." Finally, Lei Jie asked Bashas to cover the Halu stone curtain on it, and he entered with the knife in hand. In the curtain, Bosses and the maids looked at this scene and didn't quite understand what Lei Jie was doing, but they vaguely guessed that Lei Jie was going to kill Yangtze. Then, everyone heard Yangtze scream. Then there was no sound. About a minute later, Lei Jie opened the curtain and held a peach-shaped fruit in his hand. "Ha ha ha, do you know what this is?" Lei Jie smiled at everyone. Bashas looked at him with a sharp look and exclaimed, "Captain, this is a devil fruit." The maids were also extremely surprised and whispered, "Ha ha 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 ha, yes, it is the devil fruit, the animal-type sheep fruit." Lei Jie laughed and said, "Goat fruit." Bosses was extremely shocked. "Isn't the goat fruit, the goat beard devil fruit?" "Yes." Lei Jie looked at Bashas with gleaming eyes. "I killed Yangbeard and took out this devil fruit." Bashas changed his color in shock when he heard this, and opened his mouth in surprise. This, Captain. You. Are simply incredible. Although the maids didn't understand it very well, they could also see that this kind of thing seemed very magical. At that moment, Lei Jie briefly explained his dark fruit ability to everyone, and everyone listened half understandably. "I feel the power of Lei Jie more and more. Ha 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 ha, Misha, let me eat this devil fruit for you. What do you think?" Lei Jie looked at this smart and brave girl. Misha looked very surprised and shocked. "Captain, I don't get rewarded for my merits. Devil fruits are too precious. I see that you have some fighting talent, so I decided." Lei Jie immediately threw the devil fruit to Misha. "Eat it and then be loyal to me. I will not treat you badly." Yahahaha. Bashas glanced at the nervous and moved Misha, with an inexplicable look in his eyes. Lei Jie looked at Bashas. "Bashas, as the helmsman, you should not eat devil fruits for the time being, but I will teach you the use of dominance. Domineering. Bashas has obviously seen this kind of power, but has never learned it. There were only Lei Jie and Misha in the renovated luxurious cabin. Under Lei Jie's gaze, Misha ate the sheep fruit nervously. After taking a bite, Misha's expression immediately changed, but she still swallowed it with force. "There is no need to eat the rest. Come on, show me your transformation." Under Lei Ji's instructions, Misha began to transform. First, it was a half-orc form. Misha's figure began to grow taller, and her chestnut hair turned into silver white, and grew longer quickly, with 2 horns growing out of her head. 2 pink animal patterns grew on the cheeks of her face, and her eyes turned blue. Misha's legs changed even more obviously, from 2 joints to 3 joints, which improved her jumping ability. It became very powerful, and the lower legs became thinner and turned into a pair of slender and hard hooves, and the feet became very offensive. However, these are not the point. Maybe because Misha is a woman, she became a woman. After becoming an orc, not only did he not become ugly, but he became even more beautiful. On the basis of human beauty, it adds a sense of beastly beauty. In addition to her jumping ability, Misha's senses have been strengthened, and her ability to learn physical skills has become stronger. Lei Jie and Misha talked about some of her past, which were all very ordinary events, but it was these past events that made Misha want to become a self-improving woman. Looking at the blushing satyr Misha, Lei Jie was a little ready to move. Call. Lei Jie exhaled a burning breath, looked at the unique and charming half-orc Misha, and said seriously, Misha, what do you think of me, Captain? Ah, Captain, Misha could feel Lei Ji's blazing eyes, and she was very nervous about this, but she didn't want to resist. I think although the captain is fierce on the surface, but he seems to be even more vicious in his heart, haha, but to women, he seems to be quite gentle and caring. Yeah, but you may be wrong. I am only gentle to women who are loyal to me. Lei Jie smiled and said, how about being my woman and always loyal to me? Gudong. Misha swallowed her saliva, her cheeks were pink and seemed to be bleeding, and she whispered nervously, this. Lei Jie didn't say anything more. Since the woman didn't refuse, she agreed. Slowly walked up, admired her animalistic beauty for a while, and then, picked her up. The next day, after all the supplies were prepared, the 3-masted sailboat, named Dark Moon, sailed towards the vast sea again. Bossos asked, Captain, what are our plans next? Lei Jie said, we will take 6 steps. 1. Find a ship's doctor. 2. Kill a Shichibukai, seize his natural fruits, and recruit some of his subordinates. 3. Catch a pirate supernova with a bounty of over 100 million and offer it to the government in exchange for the position of the Shichibukai. 4. Control a country, recruit troops, expand power, and as the Shichibukai, hunt down devil fruit ability users, seize their fruits, and give them to my subordinates to enhance our power. 5. Launch a war against one of the 4 emperors, kill the Sea Emperor, seize the Sea Emperor's territory, and expand my power again. 6. Launch a world war and dominate the world. Yahahaha. After Bossos heard this, he knelt down towards Lei Jie and said with a smile, then my subordinate will be Captain Ding. When you ascend the throne, my name will definitely resound throughout the world. More than half a month later, the Dark Moon experienced arduous navigation and finally passed through the large undersea tunnel and arrived at the first half of the Grand Line. After some repairs at the Shampoo Islands, we found a route to the island of Evo's rainforest, and then set off again. After nearly half a month of sailing, the Dark Moon finally arrived at the small island of Evo's rainforest. There was no human habitation at all on this small island. It took Lei Jie and his team more than 10 days to find Audiobook in the island. Hall, after the latter understood Lei Ji's intention, he made a request to Lei Jie. Maritime Hospital. No problem. When I sit on the throne, I will make your medical skills resound throughout the world and wash away the shame of being framed by nobles and expelled from your hometown. In Aba after Hall boarded the ship, the group started sailing again, and finally arrived at Alabasta, Shengting Island, half a month later. At the rapeseed flower market in the port city of Alabasta, Lei Jie breathed a sigh of relief after learning that Alabasta was still in drought and that Crocodile in the Rain Land was still there. During this nearly 3-month voyage, Lei Jie worked non-stop and never did anything else. He just wanted to get to Alabasta before Luffy and his gang and steal the woman Nico Robin. Nico Robin is a woman who can interpret the text of history. In fact, the historical truth has nothing to do with Lei Jie. He just wants to dominate, but those historical texts may contain information about Pluto and King Uranus. Therefore, whether this woman is willing or not, Lei Jie will take her away and make her his subordinate, or a woman. In the past 3 months, more than 50 maids have been trained by Lei Jie to train more than a dozen women with the ability to fight with bare hands. Although other women are still not good at fighting, they all wear daggers, guns and other weapons, and they also have some combat power is not a big problem against ordinary people. The maids are no longer vases now. After 3 months of baptism at sea, they have also learned simple navigation and various knowledge of sea survival. The ship did not fly the pirate flag, but was disguised as a merchant ship. Lei Jie took Misha, Bossos, and the ship's Dr. Hall off the ship from rapeseed flowers and headed for the rainy land. The other women, led by the maid Meng Luo, stopped near the sea, waiting for the return of Lei Jie and the others. After crossing the desert, Lei Jie and the other 4 came to Rainland and went straight to Yufeng, the largest casino in Rainland. After entering the rain feast, Lei Jie showed a meaningful smile. Bashes understood Lei Jie's meaning, immediately stepped forward, smashed a game console with one punch, and shouted, "Anyone who doesn't want to die, get out." Then he grabbed a few people nearby with his big hand, throw the person out from the Yuyan gate. Suddenly, the entire casino was in chaos, and customers began to flee. Who? What a big dog. How dare you come to our rain banquet to cause trouble? The thugs from the casino immediately gathered and surrounded the 4 people. I don't need to get my hands on these things, right? Lei Jie said with a smile. The other 3 people immediately understood and started to take action. Bashes took the lead and ran rampant. After Lei Jie's 3 months of physical training, plus that kind of training, Misha's physical fitness is already very strong. Her physical skills are also very good. Her coat is specially made and will not burst when she transforms. Misha's body is very agile, she has a pair of animal legs, and her kung fu is very good, kicking the opponent away one by one. The ship's Dr. Hall, in his past escape life, has developed a set of fighting skills, and is equipped with a unique hallucinogen. Wearing sunglasses and a mask, he coldly moves from both sides. The mechanism in his arm sleeve sprayed the hallucinogen at the opponent, and then the enemy began to beat himself. Then, Hall used his gloved right hand to pull out a poisonous dagger and rushed into the hallucinated person. The opponent was confused by the drug and began to assassinate her quietly. During the fierce fight, a woman with wheat-colored skin and a purple hat walked out of the casino. This woman's dress was very stimulating, but it was not revealing. Natural charm. 6 rounds of flowers. The woman crossed her hands and said a word from a distance. At the same time, 6 lotus-like hands suddenly grew on Lei Jie's body. 4 of them grabbed Lei Jie's arms and pulled them back. 2 hands were wrapped around Lei Jie's neck, and she twisted Lei Jie's neck hard. But immediately, the woman was surprised to find that her hands were too weak and could not twist the tall and burly man at all. Neck and arms. Nico Robin. Lei Jie smiled at the woman, I'm here to take you home. How about joining my big family? Nico. Robin was stunned when he heard this, and then said coldly, idiot. Then she removed the 6-wheeled flower and turned around to leave. Because she couldn't deal with this tall and domineering man. At the same time, the real owner, Crocodile, finally came out, holding a cigar in his mouth and a look in his eyes. Looking lazily at Lei Jie. Who are you? Why come to cause trouble? Don't you know that I am the Shichibukai? It would be a serious crime to dare to attack the Shichibukai under the world government. Lei Jie laughed when he heard this. I'm here to do 2 things. If you can satisfy me, I won't cause trouble. Oh, what's the matter? Tell me. Crocodile could see that Lei Jie was very difficult to deal with, and he had already summoned several powerful agents under his command. Lei Jie stretched out a finger. Give Nico Robin to me. I admire her very much. Long. Crocodile said nothing when he heard this. Nico Robin behind him had a cold look in his eyes. Lei Jie stretched out his second finger and said with a smile, give me your shasha fruit. Well, both things are very simple. The veins on Crocodile's forehead immediately popped up, and his eyes were sharp and cold. If that's the case, then we won't stop fighting. Crocodile's body suddenly turned into a sandstorm, flew into the air, and slashed down with the Desert Tyrant sword at Lei Jie. Lei Jie raised his hand and faced the Desert Tyrant saber, dark water. The Desert Tyrant sword was immediately absorbed by the dark water. Crocodile looked at Lei Jie with a lot of thick black smoke behind him, and he was a little surprised. Obediently give me the fruit. Lei Jie laughed and opened his fingers towards Crocodile flying in the air, dark water. Buzz. Crocodile only felt that his body was uncontrollable and was being sucked in by the whirlpool of black smoke emanating from the Thunder Singer's heart. Desert Diamond. Crocodile roared angrily, and a high-speed rotating sand drill erupted from his body, drilling and killing Lei Jie. The speed was very fast. Lei Jie was hit by the Desert Diamond drill, and his whole body was bombarded and flew backwards. Boom. Lei Jie smashed through the wall and was knocked away by the Desert Diamond outside the rain feast. Misha was the first to rush over anxiously. Bossos and the ship's Dr. Hall followed closely. Haha, although your abilities are a bit strange, but, you have no chance of winning against me. Crocodile walked out of the rain banquet with Nico Robin and looked down at Lei Jie and the four of them. Lei Jie lay on the ground, motionless with his eyes closed. Misha jumped to Lei Jie and gently hugged his head, checked him out. How is he? The ship's Dr. Hall asked calmly. Misha's frown suddenly relaxed, she smiled and said, he is pretending. After being exposed, Lei Jie immediately opened his eyes, held Misha's head with both hands, gave her a slap, and then laughed loudly. Good woman, you can see through it at a glance. Oh, it hurts so much. After laughing proudly, Lei Jie immediately covered his abdominal wound and cried out in pain. You don't know how hard it was for me to endure the pain and pretend to be dead just now. Ha ha ha, Captain, you really made me laugh. Bossos laughed endlessly. The ship's Dr. Hall pushed up his sunglasses. The captain's physique is too strong. I said it is impossible to be knocked down to this extent. After being cheered by the public, Misha shyly gave Lei Jie a slap and said with a shy smile, bad guy. Crocodile's face darkened when he saw this scene. He felt that this person was very strange. Alright. Lei Jie sat up, holding Misha leisurely with one hand, looking past Crocodile and looking at the expressionless Nico Robin behind him. Robin. I must let you come with me. Be my woman. What a messy man. Nicole Robin said coldly, then turned around to leave. She could see that it was difficult for Crocodile to defeat this strange man who suddenly appeared. The Desert Diamond was already the most advanced move of the Sand Crocodile, but he didn't. What kind of scars could she leave on this strange man? Therefore, she wanted to abandon Crocodile and get away immediately. Anyway, she had no nostalgia for a vicious pirate like Crocodile, and there was no psychological pressure from betrayal. None. Crocodile had a clear grasp of Nico Robin's thoughts, and he immediately said in a deep voice with a very ugly face, why, Robin, do you think I can't protect you? Want to leave? Nico Robin heard the sound, paused, and then, without saying a word, stepped forward again and was about to leave. Crocodile, will never allow betrayal. With a flick of his hand, Crocodile turned into a sandstorm and suddenly appeared behind Nico Robin. He raised his hook and stabbed Nico Robin in the abdomen. Dark water. But Lei Jie's movements were faster than Crocodile's. The dark vortex in his hand erupted, sucking Nico Robin's body and flying towards Lei Jie. Haha, got you, Robin. Lei Jie smiled and held Nico Robin's shoulders tightly with his big hands. Nico Robin looked very ugly, not only because she was caught, but also because she found that her devil fruit ability could not be activated and her body felt weak. Give me the rope. I tied her up with my own hands. She was not an honest woman and had experienced many unimaginable difficulties. Lei Jie said, taking the rope from Bash's, and tied Nico Robin up with her weak struggle. This is Halushi's rope, you can't break free. After being tied up, Lei Jie said something to Nico Robin and threw her to Misha. Crocodile on the side stared at Lei Jie's movements with a very serious expression. He was silently judging Lei Jie's actions. What exactly is ability? Ha ha ha, Sand Crocodile, I took away your men. Lei Jie smiled proudly at him. Crocodile rolled his eyes and sneered. If you kidnap this kind of woman, you will be stabbed in the back by her. I really don't know where you get the confidence to control her. It's easy to do, conquer her body and mind, you know, ha 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 ha. If you can't conquer even one woman, how can you talk about conquering the world? Lei Jie said it very straightforwardly. Crocodile snorted coldly and suddenly said, My people are here, we can start the second game. Lei Jie and the other four looked back and saw a group of people approaching menacingly from the other end of the street. Ha 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 ha, yes, yes, they are all capable people, they are finally here. Lei Jie laughed. Crocodile keenly captured the implication in Lei Jie's words, wait for them. It seems that your goal is not just what you said, but you also want to recruit these subordinates of mine. Clever. Lei Jie gave a thumbs up to the sand crocodile, then spread his fingers, dark water. It's this move again. The sand crocodile was shocked and angry, and he was very afraid of this move, because there seemed to be no way to defend against it. Desert Diamond. Crocodile can only do the same thing again. Come on. As the weakest guy in the Shichibukai, apart from this physical ability, what other abilities do you have? Even if I don't show up, you will be beaten away by a boy named Luffy. Lei Jie punched out with his right hand, covered with armed domineering energy, and hit the Desert Diamond. At the same time, the dark water in his left hand continued to produce suction. Boom! Lei Jie's punch exploded the Desert Diamond. Thanks for watching.